And as a result of them being too large, people may actually result in creating or performing activities that they otherwise would not in the face of maybe more realistic kind of goals. And the third thing that we need to watch out for here is focus versus tunnel vision. And in a famous study of how well people perform certain tasks by Simons and Chabris, participants were told to count how many times a group of individuals passed a ball between them. And I actually did this in a training. We were shown a video of 12 or 13 people, and in that video they had a ball and they were passing it back and forth kind of rapidly. So you had to count how many times they actually passed the ball from place to place or from person to person. And 99% of the time, because people are so focused on counting the passes between the individuals, the study participants, and when I actually did this, I completely missed it as well, never saw a woman dressed up in a gorilla suit passing in plain view through the middle of the group. No one even noticed it. It was absolutely amazing. When I did it, I didn't even see it. But anyway, because you were so focused, you had this tunnel vision on your goal, and you weren't aware of your surroundings. So this is something that we have to watch out for as well when our salespeople are setting their goals. So it's definitely true that a simple goal can most definitely lead to intense effort in the short term. However, the risk to those short-term gains may also undermine the long-term interests of the individual. And if you've got monthly goals that you have helped set with your salespeople that end up sabotaging their long-term or maybe their quarterly or their annual goal, then you really have to be careful as to how they state those goals. And that's why you need to be the editor-in-chief, as we mentioned in one of our previous shows, when a salesperson comes to you with goals. So, and the fourth thing that you need to watch out for is you need to filter for what we call misalignment. So when your sales consultants come to you with their finalized goals, ask yourself if their goals are in line with what you feel is possible for each individual. And you might want to ask them, is the goal sort of a jumble of hyperbole just to kind of satisfy you, the boss, or does it actually have some real meaning and real substance? Or maybe is the goal possible to be reached, or will there be some fudging potentially along the way to make it sort of seem like it's been achieved? So you've got to filter for this misalignment as the editor-in-chief in these goals. And if you use them correctly, they can be very effective. And that's why we entitled it The Secret Sauce of Sales Management a few shows ago. So unfortunately, the executives at Enron never asked these kinds of questions. Or maybe they were just too busy or maybe too egotistical to even bother asking them. But you as a top-performing sales manager or as an aspiring sales manager or an owner of a business or a sales trainer, you need to make sure that the sales managers understand that they must be the ones who safeguard this entire process while being mindful that there is a potential downside to overly ambitious or big, hairy, audacious kind of goals. So if a sales rep comes to you and says they've never made quota before in their life for a quarter, and they say, well, my goal for the quarter is 147% of quota, that's just an unrealistic expectation. You've got to sort of corral them in a little bit, maybe tone it down a little bit. Maybe the first time you make quota or you make your goal of 100% or plan or whatever it is that you call it at your company, maybe just reaching plan should be your first goal if you've never made it before. And that's typically what we do and what we advocate within the Sales Management Mastery Academy is if somebody has never made 100% of plan, their first goal should be to get as close to 100% of plan as possible, if not at it. And then once they reach it, then you set goals and help them set goals that are setting the bar higher kind of goals where they're consistently above quota or they're above plan. But they've got to get to baseline first. So you've got to filter for that kind of misalignment. And that's our fourth point here on the downside of goals and things that you need to watch out for. So just to summarize what we talked about here on this show, goal setting is obviously a very, very important thing for you to do, and it is the secret sauce of sales management, but it does come with a price, it does come with a cost, and you've got to be very much aware of that. And as a sales manager, you need to be the editor-in-chief of your salespeople's goals. So be very, very mindful of that when they're setting their goals. So the first thing that we talked about was prescription strength goals and the fact that you've got to have a clear, definite, practical purpose and an objective in mind. However, don't underestimate the power of goals. So be very, very mindful of that. Number 2 was beware of the BHAG, and we talked about the BHAG as the big, hairy, audacious goal, and you've got to sort of corral your salespeople in, and BHAGs have worked in some cases in organizations, but oftentimes they fall flat on their face. They're sort of, a desperate attempt by a desperate company. So be careful on BHAGs and use that realistic measurement that we talked about a couple of weeks ago in your SMART goal setting. And number 3 is that you should have focus but not tunnel vision. And we talked about the study with the gorilla and the people walking, the woman dressed up as a gorilla walking through a group of people passing a ball around. And that's very dangerous to have such tunnel vision that you don't notice what's going on around you. So be very careful with that as well. And then lastly, and fourth, here is to filter for misalignment and to make sure that your sales consultants or your salespeople are setting goals that are in harmony, not only in line with what you feel is possible, but it's also realistic based upon current market conditions. So that is the don't do this as a sales manager when it comes to goal setting. Now, for hundreds of other sales management techniques and strategies, such as this one, you can find them in the Sales Management Mastery Academy, along with tons of done-for-you resources to help your sales managers achieve sales management success. To claim your free sales manager training inside the Sales Management Mastery Academy, including our most popular training of all time, How to Motivate Your Sales Team to Peak Performance, visit salestraininggift.com. That's it for this week's episode of Sales Management Mastery. Until next time, wishing you ultimate sales management success.
You've been listening to the sales management, motivational, and leadership training expert, Ralph Burns. Ralph invites you to discover the sales manager training secrets that will unleash a flood of new sales from your sales team. Visit salestraininggift.com and you'll get instant access to your choice of life-changing sales manager training techniques, only taught in the internationally acclaimed Sales Management Mastery Academy online community. Go now to salestraininggift.com. Sales Management Mastery.